Imagine a world where you are part of a community that sees you for all that you bring and propels you to become your very best self. A world where everyone is valued for what they bring and everyone gets the support they need. Savor Exchange brings this dream to reality by empowering individuals, communities, and organizations with the right tools and resources to change the world. We do this by organizing people near and far around a goal or project and bringing them together and measuring their success. Our data analytical reports will provide information to support transparency and critical needs in today's world. The SavorX app acts as a secure bridge to multiple communities, including those defined by you, and allows everyone within their community to contribute time through service and request help for themselves. Members can also donate service credits, money, or goods back to their community. Go to www.savorxapp.com to learn more and start your Savor community today.
It's wonderful to be with you all, even in this remote way. I think we're all here empowered by the notion that we're here to make a difference, that we're here for our lives to matter, and that we wish not only to be respected, but to evidence our respect for everybody in the room and everybody in the world. That we all have meaning and that we bring meaning to life by making a contribution to others. My initial problem that inspired me was a realization that money tends to dominate our definition of purpose and activity, and that life had to be about more than making money. That there had to be some way that reflected the contribution we make by being here for each other, by helping each other, by listening to each other, by caring for each other, and by making an effort to make the world better for each other and for others. And that would ripple out. There was a sense that we're here to be creating and helping to create and helping to sustain the world. And the model for me is the ecosystem. What does it create? What does it mean to create an ecosystem?
At this moment, before we go into the ecosystem, I think it would be a wonderful moment. We've got a small group here to welcome everybody onto the call, and just welcome. This is Edgar Cahn, who you've just been introduced to by Anita. I'm Christine Gray. I'm Edgar's wife and partner for the last 21 years, and we have been involved with time banking for that whole period of time, which Edgar developed and dreamed up many years ago. And we would love to see who is on the call and just hear your voices too, if you're able to join us, and just say your name and what brings you to this particular session with us. And we'd love to hear from each of you. And we had planned this as a kind of conversation. Just knowing that we were going to do this has led to us going back and forth about purpose and meaning and purpose in life. So we'd love to hear your voices too. So perhaps because we do have names, and I'm going to go down through the pictures and just call on you if that's okay. So the first picture I'm seeing is Paula.
Hi, Paula.
Hi. Oh, I am already glad that I'm on this call. Thank you. I've got tears just by listening to you talk. I'm with, that happens, right? I'm with Gross National Happiness USA. And I recently did a walk around the country asking people about what matters most in life and, excuse me, purpose. And me, I'm sorry.
Get some water. We'll come back to you.
We'll come back to you.
Okay.
The next person that I've got actually is, I don't know if this is right pronunciation, Sejal.
Sejal. Yeah.
Sejal. Hello,
Yeah.
Sejal.
Hi, Christine. Hi, Edgar. So great to be here. I'm in South San Francisco, California, and really looking forward to your presentation today and just learning from your wisdom. So thank you.
It's lovely to have you with us,
It's a
Sejal.
lovely name. What is its source?
It means pure
Oh my goodness.
or white clouds. It could be either one.
Oh,
And
Lord.
it,
I'm glad that you asked.
and it comes from
India.
beautiful. It's a
Thank
treat to have you with us.
Thank you.
So let's go back to Paula now that you've had a chance to have a drink.
Sorry about that, and I'm sorry to have missed that introduction. What I wanted to say is that in my interviewing of thousands of people around the United States about what matters is people so often said they're just finding in living their purpose in life. And that often had nothing to do with generating income, right? So I think this is a very important conversation to have, and thank you for bringing it here.
Well,
So,
Just wanted to mention one thing about Paula. She walked across the country and back 10,000 miles. That's not an easy feat.
how long
No.
did that take? How long did that take, Paula?
Say that again.
I asked. I wondered how long that took.
Oh, I did that over the course of 7 years. So I did it in segments.
My goodness,
Yes.
that's amazing. Okay, so the next person who comes up is Kate.
share who you are, Kate. Tell us.
Yes, trying to figure out how to unmute. There we go. Well, I'm an organizational consultant, sociologist, social psychologist by training. And ever since I can remember, I was always bringing people together across differences by helping them to understand how to communicate and work with people's perceptions and help them control their emotions to have those difficult conversations. And I've been working with the military for the last 5 years. Wow.
Wow.
And have made differences. I went from organizational change down to if I can just touch one person per session, then I've been a success. So COVID is kind of, well, it's left my business 1/10 of what it was. So now I'm stepping back and going, okay, how do I really want to make a difference? And I'm coming out of the closet as a diversity, inclusion, justice person. And I have always done that, but I never felt safe doing it because I didn't want to raise people's defenses. I wanted to get under the radar so I can make a difference and work with their thinking without having them be defensive. And now I can actually, I feel more safe coming out and saying, here's what I'm doing. And so I signed up for this to get some ideas, and I'm stepping back and restarting and going, okay, what do I need to be doing and with whom and how? And I, as I've shared with in the other sessions, I've got a passion about the young people today and how I think their brains are being changed by technology and social systemic changes in ways that we don't understand how it's going to affect them. So I can go on and on, but that's basically why I'm here. I'm just taking everything in, and hopefully I'll figure out what to do next.
Christine, Kate is a great resource. You two should connect later.
Oh, thanks. I would love to.
Thank you for sharing that,
Thank
Kate.
you.
So the next person whom I'm seeing on the screen, I see a name, not a face, but if you can speak to us, Pauline, that would be great. So we'll wait just a moment and see if Pauline is able to unmute herself. I'm not seeing an unmute go, but let me check the chat because there may be a message from her. Oh, Kate. From Kate to everybody. I'm eating dinner, so I'll put Paul. Well, thank you for jumping in anyway.
Permission granted.
Okay, well, look, Pauline is still on mute. So let's see if Mary, I have a feeling this may be Mary Greer, but let's see if Mary is able to unmute and talk with us.
She's
Looks like-
unmuted. So
Yes. Hello, Mary.
Hello,
Yeah.
Mary.
Hello, everyone. I'm from Maryland, and I don't really have anything profound to say, but I'm always interested in increasing happiness. So I'm looking forward to this seminar.
Lovely. Well, thank you for joining us, Mary. And oh, Pauline's become unmuted. So Pauline, we'd love to hear from you. So Pauline, you're unmuted, but we're not hearing your voice. Okay, you've gone back on mute again, and I'll go to, there's somebody by the name of PH.
that's Pam Hilton. You know her.
That's Pam Holton. Oh, Pam.
Hello,
So
Pam.
Pam, hello. Oh, she's disappeared.
What happened?
Her
Maybe
screen,
using a different device.
she has momentarily disappeared.
Okay.
All right. Well, look, I'll tell you what. If and when they come back, we'll switch over to saying hello. If Pauline, you're able to actually talk with us, we'd love to hear from you. And or else you could put something in the chat about yourself. That would be ever so nice as well. And how we thought we would go about this. Let me just introduce to you how we would go about this. Many of you, or some of you, will know that Edgar started time banking a long, long, long time ago in 1980. And he tells a story about how he came to actually start time banking, which was, he can share with you himself how he came to that story. But since ever I've known Edgar, and one of the big reasons why I actually ended up being his partner, his wife, was this incredible strong sense of purpose that he brought to everything. And it came from within. You could see it was just something, there was this powerful, powerful driver. So I, on the other hand, I will share with you, have always struggled around having a sense of purpose. It's not something that's come easily from within. I'm very responsive to what happens from without. So my sense of purpose sort of shifts like the sands. I mean, it's like it comes and it goes. And sometimes I feel it and other times it's gone. It's this elusive thing. And I think that perhaps we are rather representative of a lot of people in the world for whom there are many people for whom there is this drive. And then there are others like me for whom a sense of purpose is something we're running to find all the time. Where's my sense of purpose? So we thought this would be a great conversation to hold. And we would start off with Edgar sharing what is it that drives his sense of purpose? Where does it come from? And that perhaps he would share that with us first. And we would open up into a conversation about how much is meaningful to you, whether there's something else that you feel is missing in what he's describing, and we'll just have this shared conversation together. So Edgar, we're moving over to you, and maybe the story of how you started with time banking, or maybe the story of where and how you came to this incredibly strong inner sense of purpose.
Well, it probably comes from being born the younger twin. I was younger by 15 minutes. I had an elder sister who was my elder by 15 minutes, and coming to understand how we had to negotiate getting attention and how I had to give her time, and how I also became much more the silent person watching and waiting to see when it would be time to speak, and realizing that I was not a good chatterer. I could not just open up and talk. So I was always looking for what was the missing piece. And then And I went, my first wife, who died of cancer, was an African-American woman. And we went through all of the kind of ostracism that a mixed couple had going back to the 1950s. And we got engaged before Brown versus the Board of Education. And at college, we were really penalized for dating by the dean. I was called into the dean's office and saying, you know, what was I doing? And didn't I know what the consequences of that would be? And so I've been in trouble most of my life in one way or the other by simply saying, I will reach out to everybody and respect everybody. I was going back even before that, I was in Boy Scout camp, and I was the only white in an all black unit of Boy Scouts that came from another part of New York City, which was Jamaica, which was predominantly black. So I'm used to being an outcast, and I'm used to saying, you are who you are, and everybody is owed respect. I went into English literature, wrote a thesis that at Cambridge University was viewed as publishable, but found that there would be no job because I was in an interracial marriage, and there was no place I could get a job in academia as a mixed couple. I put my late wife through law school, and then she put me through law school. And she was the first Black at Yale, a Black woman at Yale in 15 years. So being different and then finding a place to live in New Haven outside of the only place that would house us in all of New Haven was in public housing. So we lived in public housing, and we raised our children in public housing. And I came and I worked the night shift in a factory in order to do that. And so I'm used to being sort of a weirdo in terms of the situations I find myself in. And I'll simply say that when I got a job, the first job I got coming out of law school was in the Department of Justice, and under Robert Kennedy, and they found out I was a PhD in English so that I could be a speechwriter. So I ended up being a speechwriter for Robert Kennedy, and that brought me all kinds of opportunities to look. And it was Robert Kennedy who proposed originally the so-called war on poverty. And I said, you can't have a war on poverty without enlisting poor people and without giving them the right to be, not only to speak, not only to complain, not only to ask for more, but to contribute. And that was a novel idea. But the novel idea was that we took the form of me writing first the law that the war on poverty required maximum feasible participation by the communities that were involved, that were not just recipients of resources, but that a role had to be fashioned for participation by those communities. And the perception of many of the professionals was, we need to help them, we need to give them skills, we need to train them to have marketable skills. That was the fixation. I said, no, there's more to life than market, and there's more to life than earning money. There's something you might have heard of called raising children, and something you might have heard of called caring for the elderly, and something you might have heard of called dealing with violence and crime and making neighborhoods safe places to grow up and live, and where neighbors can actually trust each other and speak to each other. And that was viewed as heretical. But since I was writing the speeches, I managed to, and writing the regs, I managed to enable people, to enable community groups to get grants promoting citizen participation. Now, that was politically, that was a mistake, because politically, what that meant was people, one form of participation is raising hell and attacking the mayor and attacking the city. So it became a highly controversial. So the idea that federal money was going to pay people to raise hell was a little bit difficult to defend and protect. But it also set in motion all kinds of community organizing, and it paid people to organize communities outside of the system in neighborhood-based groups and in affinity-based groups that linked them to a common agenda. And then what I realized was it's not enough simply to praise people for participation. How did one continue that? How did one sustain that? And I thought, well, we know what most people do. They continue doing something you may have heard of called working to earn a living. And that working to earn a living required a medium of exchange that you have heard of called money. And I thought, well, money works in one way. Money determines value by price. Price determines value by scarcity. So if it's scarce, given demand, it's valuable. If it's more abundant, it's cheaper. If it's really abundant, it's dirt cheap or worthless. And I suddenly realized that meant being a human being was worthless because we're not scarce. So that made me say we needed a medium of exchange that valued being a human being. Well, that got me into all kinds of trouble with foundations and with people who didn't think that way. But I thought, no, we need a currency that values being a human being. And I thought, what's the one thing that all human beings have? Yes, they have degrees. Yes, they have education. Yes, they have age. Yes, they have privilege. But maybe there's something we all have called living time. And maybe the most valuable thing we have is living time. It's our slice of eternity. And that to me is priceless, to have a slice of eternity that's ours. And so I thought, couldn't we create a currency that valued living time, that valued the time that we give either to others or to make the world better in some generalized way? And so that's how time banking was born. And then we needed a digital system to keep track of that. So we created a digital system called Community Weaver that enabled people to inventory what they could do and kept track of time. So I'll stop my monologue now, but that's the history of time banking. It comes not just from a desire for people to help each other, but it comes also from a desire to mobilize to address injustice. So there's one aspect of time banking that simply is neighbors helping neighbors, building community, building the infrastructure of community. But there's also time banking where people coming out of prison can help other people coming out of prison find a pathway, where juveniles who get into trouble come before a court of juveniles, a peer court where they have the power and they're earning time credits, sentencing other juveniles who have done stupid things, and juveniles do stupid things, to make up for that, to in some sense remedy what they've done and reach out to others. There are other ways in which, believe it or not, fifth graders can help third graders how to read better than teachers can. So we can use time banking to address critical problems as well as to create a neighbor helping neighbor philosophy. And so it's a tool to use to invent and to find a way to reward people for mobilizing to address disparities that we should not tolerate and do not need to tolerate. End of monologue.
We've had some people join in, and I just wanted to know if we have a little bit of time just to introduce them.
That would
Or
be great.
introduce themselves.
Absolutely. So I'm seeing Marcia.
I can't hear you, Christine. Your volume is really low.
Is it? I don't know why that's so. What have I
Oh,
done?
there. It's just like
Okay. So Marcia, we see your face has come up on the screen, and we have asked everybody if they would just say hello and a little bit about themselves. And so it'd be lovely to just hear what brings you here into this group on purpose and seeking happiness through a sense of purpose.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Oh, excellent. Well, it's a pleasure to meet all of you in that Anitha is a friend of mine through a friend who introduced the two of us through, believe it or not, LinkedIn. I am a big fan, actually, of time banking. I have a friend who was very inspirational to me. She runs a coffee shop. Out of that coffee shop, called Culture Coffee 2, she had introduced me to the concept of time banking. And I thought it was a wonderful opportunity for people to build trust. So I'm glad to be reconnected with the time banking community through Anitha and her Happiness Summit. By way of introduction, I must say that I was ecstatic about the idea of 24 hours of happiness, 24 hours of people coming together to share what makes them happy or to elevate the consciousness of people standing together in happiness. So when she asked me to do an hour this morning, I was more than happy to do so. And then when she told me that she was familiar with your work, Mr. Cahn, I am an attorney. And so one of the things I was not able to do in law school was to do a clinic because I was working full-time as an expert witness. Now, I didn't know I was working as an expert witness. I just thought I was working as an economist because that's what my title was. And I've been very efficient with most of my time in an opportunity to maximize what I could get out of my time. So by way of introduction, let's say that my goal in life was to make over $1 million by the time I was 50. And I actually achieved that goal at 43. So then I had to turn around and look and say, what do I do now? And it occurred to me that making the world a better place was much more gratifying. And thinking about ways to build connection with people so that even if I can't make the world a better place, maybe I can inspire someone else who will make a significant change in the world. So I'm a big believer in the starfish principle. I'm not sure if you've heard of it. The story of a mother and a daughter walking on the beach, and all these starfish were washed up, and the mother explained to the daughter that those starfish were going to die. And the daughter started throwing the starfish back into the water. And the mother, from a perspective of helplessness, said, you can't save all of them. And the daughter, from a perspective of hope, said, I made a difference for that. And so my life has really been about making a difference for that one, making a difference for that one. And my alternative email to Professor Muan Suba is my email, savoir faire et tout de mer volant.
Put it in, can you put it in the chat, or I can put it in the chat for you. Yeah.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
The
I
email.
don't want Christine's talk to get cut short, so I just want to make sure.
Oh, that's right. We're on an hour limit. Anyway, I'm happy to meet all of you, and I look forward. I told Anitha she should do this every quarter, and she said I was great. But I think
very, very busy.
Yes, I think there is room in the world for people to have a safe place to go and talk about happiness.
Well, thank you so much for sharing, Monsieur. That's really, really good. We have Vidya. Is this Vidya? Vidya? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Vidya. Vidya? Vidya. Well, we have Vidya joining us. We're just doing a very brief hello introduction. What brings you to the summit, and particularly to this moment of thinking about purpose in one's life. Well, we have Helen Stuckey-Weaver. Hello, Helen. And we have Corey Creedler. So before we hop back into the introductions, I'm going to just introduce a little bit more thinking about purpose and meaning and why purpose leads to happiness in our life. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I have seen how purpose has moved my husband every step of the way with time banking and how much it has inspired people. And I also mentioned how I have had my moments of purpose when I was doing my PhD. It was like, yes, I knew where I was going, knew what I was doing, and other times have really kind of floundered. And that led us, Edgar and I, to have a conversation about what is it that leads to a sense of purpose? What is it that creates that sense of purpose? And as Edgar has just shared, and Lucia has just shared, and Paula and Kate, part of that is biography, to be sure. It's the influences that you've had in your lives growing up. And part of it is reaching out from your own impulse and your own strengths and your own desires to somehow be impactful in the world. And I did some research into forming a sense of purpose. What forms a sense of purpose? I was looking on various sites online to see what is it that forms that sense of purpose, and came across again and again, won't be surprising to anybody on this call, I don't think. It's what you do, how you relate, and what you believe, that all of these things go into the mix, and that being pulled by doing the things that you love, doing the things that you believe that you're good at, and having an impact on other people seem to be the main ingredients for a sense of purpose. So as we're here together, if we can keep our contributions to sort of fairly short, just a couple of minutes each and not too long so that everybody has a chance, it would be wonderful to hear from you how it is that you have discovered the thing it is that you love to do, or that you are really good at, or that you have really felt in that time or through the period of your life, this sings for me, this gives me the sense of purpose. How have you come to that? Has it been easy? Has it been something that you look back and it's kind of like, this is the thread that's gone through my whole life? Or is it more like for I have experienced that it comes and then life changes and it shifts and it goes and you search for it again and it comes back? So who would like to share about, oh, Prakash, you've just come up and we haven't met you yet. So if we could hear from you, how is it that you came to, do you have a strong sense of purpose? And what was it that, how did you identify that sense of purpose? What was it that gave to you that sense of, yes, this is it for me?
Right. So first of all, this is Prakash Narayan. I work with Anita on Seva Exchange, and I've heard so much about Edgar and Christine from Anita, and we've had numerous times we've tried to meet, and it hasn't happened. So I'm really glad that we could finally meet on this platform. I'm honored to meet both Dr. Cahn and Christine. Having said that, so I'm a technologist, right? And I'm an engineer, and I grew up an engineer, and my career has been in engineering. So I was fortunate in that a couple of my companies got exits. So I was at a place. So basically, founded companies and the companies got acquired. So therefore I was at a place where I could use my talents, my engineering skills in areas that would that I could choose, right? I was at that place, and that's when the opportunity of Seva Exchange was presented to me. And like I said, if I had a choice between taking up working on an area that could have this multiplicative effect, then my preference was to work on that project as opposed to another project where it's, you know, doing more things, right? So I mean, my favorite example that I give is people talk about artificial intelligence and data science, and ultimately it gets used. People use deep AI and data science to determine which brand of mouthwash is best for the customer walking into the store. That doesn't give a sense of purpose. Whereas something like what we're doing in Seva Exchange has the sense of purpose of reinventing volunteerism through technology and allowing the whole concept of time banking to have a much wider and further reach is definitely what I believe in. So thanks to both of you, Christine and Dr. Cahn, for starting this.
They're both doctors.
There you go.
Okay, Avidya, do you want to go quick? We're getting, we got 20 minutes and we have to hear the rest of we haven't heard their presentation yet, so go ahead.
Hey, I am super new to this forum. So glad I found this. Haven't been able to attend every session. I wish I could. But to be super honest, right, I haven't yet. There is just this emptiness, a calling that it needs to go beyond just my family. And that's where I am, super honest. Last year has been tough for everybody, right? But for me, I think it's a little more waking up to seeing the sun every day, even those little things which went by, right? I am in Silicon Valley as well, and things just go past and fast and you're rushing all the time. And I think for me, it's just given me the well-deserved pause to observe and take in things. And that's where I am. You know, I know there is something missing and I know there is more to my life, and what and how I need to give back, I really haven't found it yet. So that's why I think the timing is perfect, because I would love to work with you, Anita, whatever little and however little I can contribute. So I think the timing is impeccable.
I don't know. I've gone through like 20 sessions. Even I can't go through them all because they were double thing. But I don't even remember. Maybe Sejal remembers because she was on most of it with me. The Picasso said, "Meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose in life is to give it away." So that was, I don't remember who presented that, but it's a blur. But I wrote it down. So that was interesting. So that might help. You know, find your gift and make that your purpose to give it away.
So that is so interesting. We, Edgar and I, when we were thinking about this, we wrote in the little caption that you have, Anita, that there's these two dimensions. There's from within, and then there's the impact and the relationship with those around us, and in a sense, making a difference in others' lives. And it has both of those parts. If it doesn't feel kind of true and honest and somehow right from within, that sense of purpose won't be there. But equally, if it doesn't connect with others, it's not likely to give you that sense of purpose. And finding your way to that place, that double place, is where the kind of flame, I guess you could say the flame of purpose truly burns, is in that double place. And when Edgar shared his life, and how his life from the very beginning has been around really a sense of those two things, who you are and what calls you, what you want to achieve in this world for others. We do have two more people who haven't introduced themselves. We have Helen Stuckey Weaver and we have Corey Creedler. So just a short introduction would be lovely to hear from you, and what your sense of purpose is and what drives that sense of purpose. So either Helen or Corey. Should we start with Helen, because we can see your face, Helen?
Well, I am one of those odd kids. I was in a very amazing family. So my family comes from both Jewish roots and then Samaritan and Christians. And luckily the science of the genetic maps proved I'm pretty much related to everybody, including people that have very dark skin. So I was grown up with a sense of purpose and research and growing gardens and building our own house and saving money and being in a neighborhood where there were lots of kids and everybody looked after us. And we just got to, every place was a classroom, exploratory learning. And then my dad, I was just a little, because I wasn't in school when we lived there in Minnesota when he was a research scientist for Honeywell. He would teach me the names of tools, because when he was down under the car, and then he'd say, shine the light for daddy, right here, right here. And so I was used to fetching. And so I say nursing merely credentialed my childhood. And then during the day, I was mommy's helper. So I always loved cooking and taking care of the little kids and all of that. And that just taught me to adapt to everyone. And so it made for a really good rural nurse. ICU, EMS, because I like to be, as those who know me, I'm kind of a control freak. I like to be hands-on and know what's going on and drive the mission forward. So anyway, servant leadership is my passion. And I'm never bored. And so it recharges me. The fact that I love what I do and life is always interesting, it just recharges my batteries. And when somebody says they have a need or a wish or they have a complaint, boom, that just triggers me to fly into action with, we could do this, we could do that. How about this? Yeah. So anyway, I'm glad that I have the Green Starship Enterprise now, and the silver lining of COVID is that now people are willing to use Zoom and the breakout rooms. So thank you very much. And I just have to say, I have never sent away for anything other than one thing I sent away for in 1990. And in 2014, I called Dr. Edgar Cahn when I was in Washington, D.C. to attend the PCORI grant writing workshop, Patient-Centered Outcome Research Institute. He answered the phone. I was like, whoa, this is cool. And I said, I've got your time dollar thing. As a matter of fact, I brought it along with me, and I heard him interviewed in 1990 on NPR. And I was like, this is exactly what will fix everything in the world, because it's completely equitable. And then I said about trying to find people that would actually do it. And everybody just, blew it off, and I've been accused of having pie in the sky. And I have to say, the other fun thing is, Edgar, you and my dad.
Thank you, Helen. We got to get time.
He has the same birthday, and I think that's so fun.
It is. Oh, happy birthday! Early birthday. His
tomorrow.
Birthday 23rd, right?
23rd.
23rd, yeah. So.
Thank
you.
Last but not least, Corey, do you want to speak, or
Corey.
we can?
Yes, Corey, are you there, Corey?
Yeah, ditto on everything Anita and Prakash said. I'm all about reinventing volunteering, and I'm grateful to be here and hearing from Edgar and Caroline and everybody, and Christine. Thanks so much.
So how are we doing for time? We have just
13 minutes.
13 minutes left. I'm going to hand it back to you, Edgar, to just really talk about the core values, because what comes from every one of you has been a sense of value. Core values underline that sense of meaning.
Feedback going on, and I can't figure out where it's coming from.
It may be from Edgar and me. Is it Edgar and me, perhaps? No, it stopped now. Edgar, would you talk to the core values of time banking and how so many people have found those core values a very, very meaningful path to finding purpose in their own lives?
Well, two things. We're used to seeing value defined by price, and price values it by scarcity. But what we are valuing are values that are not scarce. Caring is not scarce. Feeling for another is not scarce. The most precious thing we do when we help somebody is to see how they respond. They give back to us in a way that confirms our sense of meaning. So their willingness to accept help is a gift that they don't appreciate fully because they're grateful, but it's a gift to us because it defines meaning. When I looked at what we were doing cumulatively as we were helping each other, I realized that we were creating a different kind of a world. Now, I want you to step back from that world and think of the Earth as a planet. The Earth as a planet supports life because it supports an ecosystem which enables plants and animals to grow. Well, we are creating our own, what time banking is really creating an ecosystem for us individually, and for us as a neighborhood, and for us as a community, and for us as a species. We are building an ecosystem that permits all people to grow, to thrive, to contribute, and to empower and enable others to contribute, to give them an opportunity. So there's not only is there nothing wrong about receiving help, there's everything grateful and important about receiving help, because if nobody will receive help, nobody can give help. So we have to begin to understand that the reciprocity that's involved in giving and receiving and in setting in motion those change creates an ecosystem that we want to, that we can make thrive. Well, then we need to find ways, because it doesn't just happen. Coordinators need to have the peculiar habit of eating. And so we need to find ways in which we can set up subsystems within neighborhoods and communities where at least somebody can devote a portion of their life and actually eat while they're making it possible for all of us to find meaning. So we're about building a new ecosystem on a neighborhood basis, but because we're here, and thanks to Anita and others, we're here linking because we're really creating a whole network of ecosystems, and each one of us is simply at the hub of that ecosystem, of that portion of the ecosystem that we're creating, and it's the combined linkage of them all that will change a different ethos. It will turn, I've seen it turn whole communities that felt disenfranchised who were just coming to this country, and they made it possible to set up a whole voter registration program. I've seen other programs that have radically reduced the number of people who, instead of being put involuntarily into nursing homes, were able to remain in community because they now had a new kind of extended family. I've seen schools where kids who otherwise would be viewed as failures and who would be in special education, where the older kids helped the younger kids and they eliminated special education. So we have individually, we have the power in whatever world we choose to create those ecosystems, not just to make an individual difference, not just to have individual good deeds, but to create systems that are renewing, and that even the monetary system, even the formal social service system say, without you, they could not succeed. So we make it possible for government to do its job, for philanthropy to do its job, and we make it also possible to hold those systems accountable for purpose, and we ought to be a voice of conscience. So some of us have come together to create a board of inquiry as to why so many kids are X, Y, and Z, why so many people coming out of prison re-enter prison, why so many seniors who want to remain in community are not able to create in community. So we need to be a voice of conscience as well as a voice of action. And I'll stop there, but those are the two kinds of impulses. One, we need to build, and two, we need to be a voice of conscience. And that gives us all both purpose and meaning. And very frankly, at the age of 44, I had a heart attack. They gave me 2 years to live. 60% of my heart was destroyed. And at best, they gave me 2 years to survive. And it was literally in intensive care that I thought, well, what do I do? Because I only have 2 hours a day that they estimate that my heart would sustain activity. And I said, well, then I will use those 2 hours to make a difference. So time banking was born in the intensive care unit of GW Hospital, where I was hospitalized. My heart is now better than 80% healed. To the best of my knowledge, some 40 years have gone by, so I've beaten that 2-year prediction. I'm now 86, no, I'm now 85, 3 days away from being 86. And I see, and I feel like I have at least another 10 years to keep causing trouble and keep reaching out and keep being blessed by seeing all that you all do and feeling that I'm part of an extended family. And that's a gift that you all give me. You give me hope and you give me a sense of purpose to get up each morning. So thank you so much. End of monologue. And I can still laugh at myself, and I have a twin sister who can laugh at me, and I have a wonderful wife who is willing to put up with me. I said, do you understand that marrying me means also marrying time banking? And Chris was stupid enough to say, I understand, and I say I do. And so she has been a gift in my life and a gift to the world that I have tried to create.
Oh, you're on mute, Christine.
What I would like to do to close this out, because we have just 5 minutes left, is share with you something that I found from a Dr. Kate Siver on the internet, which I thought was a powerful expression of what we gain. It's one thing to seek out a sense of purpose, and it's another to know the things that a sense of purpose will give us. And she had 7 things that a sense of purpose will provide. And I thought it was a lovely list, and I'm going to read it to you. So the very first thing that she said a sense of purpose will provide is a sense of meaning, because you're doing what you love, hopefully, and you're doing what you believe you're good at, and you're doing it to make a difference in people's lives. So a sense of meaning is the first thing. A second is a sense of place and belonging, because you know where you fit. Once you have your sense of purpose, you know that you're doing the right things for yourself and for others, and you have this sense of place and belonging. The third was that your choices become clearer, and your choices become easier in a way, because you found this place, this sense of purpose, and they drive your choices. The fourth one was a sense of self, that once you have that sense of purpose, and again, I don't say that it's always easy. I envy people who find that sense of purpose really strong in themselves. But that sense of self, of who you are, why you're doing something, what you're doing for, is strengthened by your sense of purpose. And fifth was an ease with yourself, because you know all of these things, you know yourself and what you're doing and why you're doing it. The sixth was that is outward looking. You have a sense of positive impact on others, and that in turn reflects upon yourself. And the seventh was that it builds confidence for you. So I thought those are all wonderful things that do come with a sense of purpose. And we have just 2 minutes left. And so I would like to flip it over, actually, first to Edgar and then to Anita, who organized all of this so beautifully. And I've been so impressed and so admiring of how Anita just put this into gear, made it happen, has all these people contributing from around the world, people jumping in to learn. It's an amazing thing, Anita, and well done, really. You've done a marvelous thing. So I'm going to hand over quick, oh, yes, a round of applause for Anita. Thank you so much. Edgar, I pass the last word to you and then to Anita.
I would
Here,
say
here.
there are two kinds of energy. One is the energy to create a better world. The other is the energy we feel when we are mobilized to address disparities that we should not tolerate. And that's combined with a sense of urgency and anger, which is a different energy from the energy of creating and dreaming. Both have their place and both drive us. And I just would say that all of those, that the energy we can summon from within, both to build and to react, are both important ways in which we can fulfill ourselves. Anita, your turn.
Oh, thank
The
you.
number of smiles on people's faces is joyous.
Yeah.
Well, purpose is the energy, and
Yeah, purpose
finding purpose.
and love.
So